Welcome to the Voice of Retail podcast. My name is Michael LeBlanc, and I am your host. This podcast is produced in conjunction with Retail Council of Canada. In this episode, meet Frédéric Aubé, founder and CEO of Cozey, a fast-growing furniture brand known for its modular, easy-to-assemble pieces. Fred shares how his experience as a student inspired Cozey's creation and how his entrepreneurial background shaped the company's mission. He discusses Cozey's rapid growth in North America with pop-ups in Toronto and Vancouver, soon in Calgary and in New York, transition from direct-to-consumer to physical retail, the critical strategies behind his success, and he explores the evolving role of physical stores for DTC brands like himself and offers advice for independent retailers navigating today's competitive market. Let's listen in now. Frédéric, or Fred, welcome to the Voice of Retail podcast. How are you doing this afternoon?
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Where am I finding you today?
Our head office at Cozey's in Montreal. Our first store was in Toronto. Our first out-of-home campaign was in Toronto. Our second home is in Toronto, but our headquarters are in Montreal.
Oh, fantastic. Now, are you born and raised Montreal area? How did you come to live in Montreal?
Born and raised in Sherbrooke, Quebec, which is about an hour and a half away from Montreal, right close to the U.S. borders. And I came to Montreal to study at university at McGill.
Oh, fantastic. Fellow McGill grad. There you go.
Correct.
Went to McGill myself. Didn't graduate, though. That's another whole story, but that's a different story.
We all have our different paths.
We all have different paths. Hey, listen, well, like I said, thanks for joining me on the podcast. Let's talk about you for a bit. How did you get to be you, and what do you do for a living? What's your journey?
Yes, I mean, grew up, as many Canadians, playing hockey. Growing up, I wanted to be a NHL player. Played 4 years in the QMJHL, which is one of the top junior leagues in the world. Played in Drummondville and Halifax. And until about the age of 18, 19, didn't really consider anything else outside of hockey. And one day, my dad was an entrepreneur before he retired a few years ago, but he had bought this furniture business and said, I think it would be a great opportunity for you to learn some business ropes. So why don't you come and join me on the board of directors? So that was my first experience in business. I was 18 years old at the time, just starting to read a little bit about finance, about economics, and really got into it and started to develop a passion more and more about business, about finance and the entire business world. Started to read at some point, when I was 19, 20 years old, I was reading a book a week about entrepreneurship, about finance, starting from the historicals, the Ben Graham, which was a teacher of Warren Buffett way back when. So started reading some finance books. And like I said, my dad had bought a furniture company. So it was also my first adventure into the furniture world. Got to see the rise of e-commerce with furniture. And that was really how I got into the business world. Then when I ended my hockey career at the age of 20, I went to McGill University to study finance. I was also working part-time in an investment firm where I was studying the mattresses in a box. In Canada, we saw the Endies of the world, the Caspers of the world, the Polysleeps. So I was digging into that. And one day at the library, studying mattresses, combining with my furniture experience, my experience of living in Montreal, small stairways, small doorways. Maybe there's an opportunity to start a furniture in a box company. I was doing some research and there was nothing really going on in Canada. There was some companies in the US, in the UK and Australia, but nothing really in Canada. So I said, hey, maybe there's something there. And that was March 2019. And in June of 2020, Cozey.ca sold its first sofa in a box.
Well, a couple of quick follow-up things. First of all, I talked to people who either recruit or were themselves elite athletes, and they tell me that there's a lot of lessons learned about being an elite athlete that transfers over to business. Would you say that? Would you say that's true?
I think so. I mean, I think business is a lot of hard work. It's a lot of sacrifices. It takes discipline. to start a business. And then for team sports as well, teaches you how to interact with others, how to behave in teams, how to lead other people. So I think there's lots of correlation. And most, I try to run the Cozey organization like a sports team. I use sports analogies all the time. I don't say we're the Cozey family. I say we're the Cozey team. And that's a big distinction. Family member, you're stuck with them your entire life.
Yeah. For good or ill, right? For good or ill.
Exactly.
Now, were you always you've mentioned finance a couple of times, went to school for, were you always a finance guy? Is that how some people who run businesses, they come to it, they're passionate about product as a merchant, finance or operations, but you're a finance, you describe yourself as a finance kind of first, and that's part of your success?
Correct. Cozey was founded with a business model in mind. It wasn't based on my experience with furniture design. It wasn't based with my expertise in interior design, even though my mother was a great and is still a great interior designer, but I didn't have her skills or her passion. Really, Cozey was built on a business model and financial model.
Okay. So now let's talk about when you started Cozey. But first, let's for the audience, tell us about Cozey. Maybe they're familiar with it, maybe not. Scope, scale, what makes it different, and what makes you remarkable in a pretty crowded home furnishing market.
So Cozey today is a designer and retailer of furniture in a box. What that means is we design furniture that fits in a box that can be shipped with your typical courier, such as FedEx, Purolator, Canpar, and ship directly to the customer. And we design everything that we sell. So what we try to do is create an amazing customer experience for our customers, whether that be on our website, whether that be with the shipping experience that gets delivered to your door in 2 days, the assembly that's tool-free. And we try to have a lot of benefits with our furniture, whether that be, washable covers for our sofas, having storage in our sofas, whether that be modular tables, but really trying to create benefits to our customers throughout our product's life.
Say more about the tool-free part, because there is, of course, we can name a few names, but there are companies that sell furniture with you got to, get together with some chuck keys or some other products. Talk about the technical element of that. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. So one thing when I came up with the idea at McGill, if you know me, Michael, and we're starting to get to know each other a little bit, is I'm the least manual guy you'll ever meet. I was a hockey player, then a finance guy. I can't put furniture that is difficult to assemble. If there's a problem with my car, I can't fix it. If there's a problem in my home, I can't fix it. I can't do anything with my hands. And when I thought of the idea for Cozey, it had to be super simple, super easy. And if you put one tool in there, it might confuse me. So we had to find the perfect balance between creating something that was super easy to assemble, starting with sofas, but that was also super sturdy. Because when you think super easy to assemble, is it going to shake? Is it going to wobble?
Sure.
And when you think super sturdy, you think, it must be a pain to assemble. We wanted to find the perfect in between, but sturdy and easy. And that's what took a year. When I said I had the idea in 2019, we launched in 2020. That's what really took a long time, is finding that perfect assembly system where it was tool-free, easy, but still super sturdy.
What kind? Just flesh out the furniture a little bit. Cabinets, like what would you find on your site if people would go there?
So right now, to give a bit of context, because that might change in the next few years, we're October 2024. And right now you'll find everything that you'll need in a living room. So we got sofas, coffee tables, side tables, rugs, accessories, and your outdoor living room as well. So we've got outdoor sofas, we have outdoor rugs, outdoor accessories, outdoor tables. And where we're going is in the entire home. So we're going into the beds, the mattresses, the dining room. Our home is our entire territory, but we focused on the living room in the first 4 years of Cozey.
How did you get through COVID as an organization? I mean, you launched, on the one hand, you launched in both the worst and the best times. Talk about your experience getting through COVID.
So for furniture, COVID was the best time that you could have hoped for. We launched in June of 2020 in the middle of COVID, where everybody was looking to furnish their homes, change their furniture, and where all of our competitors had no stock. So as a new company, you have this stock, you don't know how it's going to go, and all of your competitors that had this tremendous demand at the beginning of COVID are out of stock and can only ship a sofa or furniture in 6 months, 9 months, almost a year in some instances. And here we are, this new upstart with tons of inventory that can ship to your door in 2 days. So that's really what got us going. And then innovated with new products, new colors, invested in the customer experience, a word of mouth got around, and have sustained a pretty healthy growth since.
Fantastic. I mean, when you talk to a lot of companies who had that kind of geometric growth, hockey stick, so to speak, growth, they did and are finding now things not so great because there was a lot of buy forward. People bought a lot of stuff, but you seem to be kind of, skating along the edge of both those things. Yeah. How are you sustaining your growth?
I mean, over the last 4 years, I think we built a pretty good brand that customers love and talk about. We've also been very good at introducing new products, revamping our website every few months, creating newness for the customer. And that's how we were able to keep growing. And I know some companies have had a tough 2022, 2023, 2024 in the furniture market. But I think we've been constantly bringing new things to our customers and new customers, investing a lot in marketing as well, opened our first store in Toronto or opening a pop-up. So we're trying to keep that momentum going where people feel there's something behind Cozey, want to discover more. There's some great reviews out there of our products. And I think people are more and more seeing the credibility of what we're trying to build and are loving it. And so far, the growth since 2020 every year has been triple digits.
So you've mentioned this transition to physical retail, which is very intriguing. You were basically a DNVB, a digitally native vertical brand, but now you've mentioned stores, pop-ups. Tell me about how you think about the role of the store. Is the store for you a advertising marketing vehicle, or is it productivity? Like, how do you measure success from the stores that you launch?
So that's a really good question, Michael. And as you said, we were only selling online, Cozey.ca. Then we had our first pop-up at Stacked Market in Toronto last year to really test the waters. And what we found out was, even though most people are comfortable buying furniture online, there's still a big chunk of people, and I'm not only talking about the older crowds, but all crowds that still want to touch and feel the furniture. And for us, Cozey, we only sell through our own channels, even today, Cozey.ca, our physical footprint, Cozey.com. But it's really important to control the entire experience. And whether that's a customer's coming in on our website or through our stores, we try to offer a great customer experience. And it doesn't matter if you don't buy today, you might only need a sofa in 6 months, in a year, in 3 years. But if we offer a great experience, then you'll come back to us. And that's what we try to approach our stores like. And for us, success, at the end of the day, a business needs to make profits to stay alive. So if we opened the store, we wanted it to be profitable. And yes, offer a great experience, but four-wall EBITDA, it had to be a profitable store. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't want a 10-store rollout. We wanted to test it with one in our biggest market, which was Toronto. And we opened in March of 2024, and it's been a fantastic success for us. I mean, customers coming in, either buying in store or going back home and buying. But I think the experience that we offer in the store, the profitability of the store has been a fantastic success for us.
It's interesting, right? Because with your innovation and innovative design, people, I think, even more so want to put their hands on it. What do you mean exactly? Is this going to fit? Is this going to be, is this going to shake loose for me? So I can really see the role of a store. I did want to ask if you see a path to wholesale. You've seen lots of digitally native vertical brands. Casper did it. Other brands have done it. Go and start to think about a wholesale relationship. What's your perspective on, is there a path for you there? I mean, you said, listen, we want to control every step. Do you see a prospect for wholesale, or is that something you just not in the business plan?
It's not in the business plan. And I mean, we try to keep all of our options open, but at its core, Cozey is all about customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, whether that be, pre-buy, the support that we're going to offer with customer happiness, the experience that you're going to have on our website, the experience that you're going to have in store interacting with our staff, the brand that we're trying to create on social media or out-of-home campaigns. To us, it's how you feel with Cozey. It's how you interact with us. So to us, it's not in the plans. It's really about building our community, building our brand around our own channels, and it's not something that we're looking at right now.
I'm curious for what's been working for you to do that. You talked to a lot of small independent retailers who struggle to kind of gain any advantage from doing search marketing. I talk to the folks at Google about that all the time. It's like, it becomes kind of like everybody's good at it, so it's hard to gain advantage. Where are you winning? You mentioned things like building a community. What's your advice to fellow retailers like yourself who, don't want to spend tons and tons and tons of money on search, but want to have a fulsome representation online? What's working for you?
I mean, to us, socials is really what's working well right now. And it's not just pushing ads to push ads. We're really content first, curated content that we either create in-house or with content creators / influencers, whatever you want to call them, but really creating great content about the brand, about the product, so that people can see what we're all about and then delivering on that promise. And I think that's the key part, delivering on that promise. If you say something in an ad, if you say something on the website, make sure that you deliver on it. And our best marketing vehicle since we started was, I think, our execution that translates into word of mouth.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yes, we have, furniture that looks good, that's modular, but if you had a great experience with us, great experience with Cozey, you're going to talk about it with your friends, with your family, and then word gets around. More and more people are using social media to show what they have in their homes. And if you design, great piece of furniture, people are going to ask where it's coming from. And if we do a good job, you're going to tell everybody about us. What's
the Vancouver market been like for you?
It's been a great success so far. I mean, we never really invested that much time, attention, and money before our pop-up. We had a little bit of a out-of-home campaign, and we were doing socials, but the location that we picked was fantastic for us. The team that we have now is fantastic in the store as well. And I think customers that wanted to try didn't have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
But now the sales have really picked up out west, and we're looking for a permanent location to open in the short to medium term.
Fantastic. You must have your eye on a city like Calgary. So much growth. So many people moving to the go west is the kind. Retailers are telling me that all the time, and and you see it in the numbers, right? That the Calgary housing market is booming. So I guess this. Do you see? We're talking about Canada. Do you see anything outside of Canada?
So to all Calgary listeners that are a fan of the brand, we are coming to you guys in 2025.
Breaking news here.
We're opening up a pop-up next year, and if you have some great location suggestions, I'm all ears. We've been eyeing the Calgary market for a while now. Just want to make sure that we get the right location. So feel free to message me if you have some great locations for us. Talking about outside Canada for a minute. Now it's October 2nd that we're talking, Michael. Next week we will be opening our first USA pop-up in New York City.
Congratulations.
Soho. Thank you very much.
You know what? I talk about that for a little bit. I know the Soho area well. I host every January during NRF a store tour. And of course, we always wind up in Soho because it's such a great place. Talk about, I'm a little curious if you could share, because I also think of Williamsburg across the water in Brooklyn and Soho, and talk about your experience finding some place there and why you chose Soho.
It's a really good question. And at the beginning, having full control on our channels, Cozey.com, Cozey.ca, or our own store, we know everything about our customers, where they live, what they like. So we're able to have a pretty good representation of where customers were on the East Coast. And to us, New York City is our biggest market. We're in New York City. Soho was one of the big big parts of Flatiron, everything around there. So we were looking, Flatiron, Soho with regards to a first store, but Brooklyn was second on our list. And when we think about permanent store locations, this entire market, whether that be New York City or just on the other side of the river, Brooklyn, is something that we're looking at very closely.
Fantastic. Well, that's exciting. How long is the pop-up going to last for?
Pop-up is 3 months, October, November, December, and we're going to get out of there early January.
All right. So that's North American. Any ambitions beyond North America? I
mean, our long-term goal, Michael, is to become the leading furniture brand in the world. That's going to take us maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, probably more around 20 years and 10 years. But, when we think about what we want to become the IKEA of the 21st century. As in when you think of furniture, you think Cozey first. Now you think furniture first brand for most people is IKEA. We want that reflex to be Cozey in 20 years. So, we're Canadian based, expanded to the US, but of course, the world is our entire market, and we'll be very diligent about it. I don't think we want to open in 20 countries in the next 2-3 years, but we're definitely looking at alternate markets in the next few years.
Let's go to advice time. So what's your, putting your advice hat on, and you've got some great experience and you've experienced some great success. What's your advice to independent retailers like yourself and succeeding in what I call a bifurcated retail environment? You got to be remarkable. You got to be special. You got to be all those things. What are the two things they should start doing if they're not? And one thing maybe that's not working well, or you see, mistake, maybe you stop doing it. Maybe it just doesn't work anymore. Maybe you see it as a common mistake that people are making. So first of all, what's two things they need to do and get right, and one thing maybe they should do less of?
I think it's just doing. I think people need to do more, and it doesn't need to be perfect to start. A lot of people I talk to that are more traditional retail say, I want to try, I want to start doing some social ads, but I don't really know how to get into it. Just do it. Just start with a small budget, do it, learn, and it doesn't need to be perfect off the start. I didn't know how to do Facebook ads early 2020, and I know we're still not perfect, but continuously improving has been an ethos of Cozey, has been a great value for us since the beginning. It just doesn't need to be perfect to go. And even today, as we grow the number of people on our team, we try to make it so complicated sometimes. We try to make it perfect before we launch. And I tell the team, just do it. Let's go out with a V1, see if it works, see how we can improve it, but let's start somewhere. And I feel that, talking to lots of people right now, it's a difficult time. I want to do this, I want to do that. Just pick something that you want to do, try it out, improve it if it works somewhat, kill it if it doesn't. But I think action is the number one advice and the only advice I would give, and that's how I built Cozey the last 4 years. And
I guess what do you see that you'd say, listen, that's not going to work out so well for you? You see other retailers or other folks doing. What do you advise not doing? I guess I could say, if I ask the question differently.
I mean, I think I'm too young and not enough experience to say with conviction that anything is not worth doing. I really don't know. I think everybody's got different business needs, different realities. I would guide more towards doing than not doing.
So learn by doing, basically, and then set up a few measurements and adjust as you go. Basically, if I could summarize, right?
Correct. And learn is a big part. Just don't do to do, but learn everything.
Fantastic. Yeah, right back to your hockey skills, right? Drill, try something different, try something innovative. It goes all the way back to your hockey background. Well, Fred, it's been a real treat talking to you and getting to know the business. Congratulations on your success in a very crowded market. Clearly, you're winning, and I think we can all look forward to more success. So thanks for joining me on the Voice of Retail podcast. Now, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you and just learn more about what you're doing, or even check out your furniture, where should they go?
They can go first on Cozey.ca, Cozey.com if they're in the U.S. Visit our store, 1026 Queen Street West in Toronto, or our pop-up 810 Granville will also be on Lafayette Street, 210 in New York next week. Or they can reach out directly on LinkedIn, Frédéric Aubé, pretty easy to find. Not a lot of people with that name. Or by email, fred@cozey.ca. Always a treat to speak to everybody.
Well, thanks for your generous sharing of your time. It's really great to get to know you in the business. And like I said, I wish you much continued success. I'll check out your Soho pop-up in a couple of weeks, and looking forward to seeing that. So thanks again for making the time for me here on the pod.
Thanks, Michael. Pleasure being here.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of The Voice of Retail. If you haven't already, follow on your favorite podcast platform so new episodes will land automatically each week. And be sure and check out my other retail industry media properties, the Remarkable Retail Podcast with Steve Dennis and the Global E-Commerce Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Blanc, Senior Retail Advisor, Keynote Speaker. If you want more content or chat, follow me on LinkedIn. Safe travels, everyone.